Hello, so this is my review of the Hoka One One Clifton 5. So the reasons why I'm reviewing this shoe now are twofold. So the main reason is that I have been using it consistently for the past 5 months. So that's about 500 kilometers worth of running, so it's about 300 miles. But also because the new Clifton 6 has come out recently, has been launched recently, and with that coming out, the Clifton 5 should go down in price. So I had a quick look on Google. I think it's around at the £80 mark now, when this first retailed at about 115. So potential saving there if you fancy something a bit cheaper than the newer model. So the Clifton 5, I've had this shoe since around March, I believe. I paid around £115, so what's that, about 130, 140 US dollars. Ran around 500 kilometers in it. That's about 300 miles. That includes 6 half marathons and also some light trail running in Spain and in Wales, I think. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about the sort of the makeup, the materials of the shoe, or sort of compare it to previous Clifton versions. This is the first Hoka I've ever owned, so I thought that would give it a fresh approach. In terms of what the review is going to focus on, so it's really going to be focused on a few areas. So comfort will be one of them, review that, durability, the build quality, and then we'll have a look at the aesthetics, how the shoe actually looks, and then quickly on price. So comfort, yeah, it's a very comfortable shoe. It's marketed as that. It's cushion, sort of marshmallow soft marketing. That's sort of what Hoka's known for, at least in this model. The only thing I would say is that this shoe, when I first purchased it, was extremely uncomfortable. That wasn't because of the sort of the shoe itself, it was the insole. So I actually had to change the insoles about 10 kilometers into using these shoes. I had some old Adidas Ultra Boost ones that I put in there instead. But the actual insole that came with the shoe, the edges were super sharp. So I'm not sure why that was the case. It was just a shoe that I had, but these edges were very sharp. So after running about 2-3 kilometers, it would start to cut into your foot, where my shoe in such a way that my foot actually started bleeding. So at first I thought it was something wrong with the shoe. I thought it was something sort of inside the shoe was coating my foot, but no, it was the insole. So I changed that. Yeah. So if you're coming from something like an Asics or an Adidas, there's a little bit of getting used to the actual thickness of the outsole. I found it quite odd at first. I've never had a shoe where the outsole has been so thick and so squishy, which obviously took a little bit of getting used to. I'm 6'4" myself, so I got a few odd looks when I'm walking around in these because it makes me even taller. But apart from that, yeah, just a little bit of getting used to, I think, getting used to the sort of how it differs from other brands of shoe. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, yeah, very squishy, very soft, great to run in. No complaints in terms of the actual feel underfoot. Very soft. You can run 20-30 kilometers in this, and it's as soft at the beginning of the run than it is at the end. So there really is no trouble there. The one issue I also have with it is I have quite a wide foot, and this is quite a narrow trainer. I've seen a few other reviews and a few other comments saying that this version of the Clifton is quite narrow. So just have to take that into account. If you've got a wider foot, perhaps you want to opt for the wider model. They do sell wider versions of this shoe. Perhaps I should have got a wider version, but I didn't. And yeah, it's been a little bit painful in terms of squeezing the foot, but it's not been unbearable. So I've kept using it. So just in terms of the upper, yeah, it grasps the foot really well. It's really tough, really durable. The laces tie up really well. You get a really nice tight feel on there, no problems there. It's nice and airy. I think it's sort of a 2-layered mesh going on here, but it's still terribly airy. It keeps your foot nice and dry. I haven't had any issues with sort of too much sweat or too much blistering at all, so that's not too bad. The actual weight of the shoe, quite a few people have commented on it being quite heavy. I think it is. I mean, on average, it's a little bit heavier than your other shoes that you might find out there. But I personally haven't seen a tremendous difference when I compare this to some of the other trainers that I run in, so Asics, Adidas, that kind of thing. It is a little heavy, but I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker whatsoever. Okay, so moving on to durability and the build quality. So I think the build quality and how well this has held up over the past 500 kilometers is incredible. It has not broken. It has not shown any sort of major signs of wear at all. I think it's brilliant in that respect. You can see there's a little bit of sort of damage here, but it's really only kind of superficial. It's held up really, really well. This is not just running on tarmac. A lot of the running near my flat is on sort of light trails, so gravel, grass, woodland, rocky ground. So it's not like I'm running just on soft grass and sort of flat tarmac. So it really has had a bit of a beating. I think, very strong shoe. The upper's great, really strong, no tears, no issues there at all. Laces and eyelets, I know some trainers, they're quite weak. These ones are great. I mean, they're really strong. I haven't had any issues. Laces have been absolutely fine. So one thing I have noticed in terms of durability, I've definitely noticed a change in the sort of squishiness of the shoe since first purchasing it. I guess that's come to be expected. After a lot of use, it's going to lose some of that, so it's not exactly a surprise there, really. So the other thing, aesthetics. So I think the shoe looks pretty good. I chose the spicy orange model, so this was in fact a lot more orange than it is now when I first got it. But yeah, I got the spicy orange version with a kind of anthracite grey upper there. I think they look pretty good. Obviously they're not going to be as appealing as maybe some of the Nikes and Adidas you get out there, but I think they look pretty good, particularly as they're what they're renowned for is this big squishy heel, which is never it's quite a divisive look. Let's say it's not for everyone, but I like it, so I think it's great. So price, I paid 4 or 5 months ago for these. I paid £115, so that's about $130. I think that's a pretty good price point. You can pay a lot more for a trainer and not get an awful lot more out of it, just because of the durability and how many miles I've got out of these. I think it's worth every penny. You could pay upwards of £150, £160 and perhaps not get as much mileage out of a shoe. So I think in terms of price, it's pretty strong. And as I said at the start of the video, if you're looking at maybe getting a Clifton 6 or maybe the Hoka One One Rincon, which might cost a bit more than these did when they first came out, then perhaps you can go for the Clifton 5, because it's probably going to retail at about £20 or £30 less, or $40 or $50 less than those newer models. So yeah, it's an option for you if you wanted to get something a little bit cheaper. I think overall, just to sort of sum up the trainer, I think it's a great shoe for long distance. I've used this on numerous half marathons, trail running, 20-30 kilometer runs. I think it's a great shoe. It's soft, squidgy, comfortable. It's a great sole for running on lots of different terrains. Surprisingly flexible, not particularly lightweight, but it's still okay, I think, in my opinion. Yeah, I just think it's a pretty solid shoe if you want to do long distance over not just sort of soft grass or tarmac. I think some of the areas for improvement would be definitely the insole. When you market a shoe as being particularly comfortable, that's its USP, and the insole cuts into your foot. That's not a good thing. So I think Hoka need to look at that and perhaps redesign the insole, or just have a look at why it's so sharp around the edges. I think the toe box is too narrow. It came up very narrow on me. Perhaps that was just an incorrect purchase choice. I should have got something a bit wider. But yeah, I think it's a bit narrow for the shoe, and that's come up in a few reviews I've seen that it's particularly narrow. I think the price is good. I don't think that's a negative. I think it's well priced for what you get. So the main question: should you buy this shoe? I think if you're looking to go long distance, you're looking to run on not just tarmac or sort of soft surfaces or flat surfaces, then this is a great shoe. If you're a high volume runner, if you're running sort of 150 kilometers a week, I think it's a solid shoe for that as well. If you're a little on the heavier side as well, it perhaps might be a good shoe for you because of that cushioning. It might be a bit better on your joints. Yeah, I think those things, if you had those in mind, then perhaps this is the shoe for you. If you're looking for a shoe which is particularly lightweight, or something that you're going to wear in order to smash some kind of long distance target that you have, I would not buy this shoe. I think it's perhaps a little bit too heavy for that. And it's more aimed towards comfort than it is speed, but that's how it's marketed, so it's not pulling the wool over your eyes in that respect. Yeah, it's a long distance slogger shoe. It's a great shoe to wear. It's comfortable, great on all different terrains, but it's not something that's built for speed. If you're looking for a cheaper alternative, definitely try out the Clifton 5. See if you can find it in your local store and give it a try, and see what you think. But yeah, I hope you like my review of the Clifton 5. I think overall great shoe, definitely worth the purchase if you're into long distance running. I'm planning on doing a few more reviews on shoes and sort of running gear in the future, perhaps a few blog posts on some of my runs I'm doing. So yeah, if you like the video, drop us a like or subscribe, and yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers.